I mean, I went to the website this morning. The Eagles have 21 scouts in their scouting department. If you go to the Bengals website, they have 4. Joe Burrow has made 3 public comments about T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to pay him. I think Joe Burrow, and for the record, we've seen their top players. I mean, Jamar Chase, Hendricks. I mean, this team had the best quarterback statistically, the best edge rusher, and the best receiver who hit the Triple Crown, and they don't seem happy. What do you make of all these Burrow public comments? Because my guess is they will not pay Higgins.
They're the most intriguing team this offseason to me. And what they do, I think, could be as pivotal to their next decade as any team in the NFL over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Joe Burrow is one of the smartest players I've ever been around. He's one of the savviest players I've ever been around. He's the son of a coach. He's the little brother of 2 guys who are linebackers at Nebraska. He's been around big-time football his entire life. He played for 2 major programs, won a national championship in college, played in the Super Bowl in his second year. He's seen a lot for a guy his age. And he's aware, and he was aware when he came out in 2020 of what the Bengals are and what the Bengals have been historically over the years, and the willingness of Mike Brown to spend on his roster, to spend on his operation. He's lived it. It took forever for them to get an indoor facility built, and that happened just recently. But it took a long time for a team that's playing the climate that Cincinnati is to have a place where they could practice with a roof over their heads. So, I mean, I think he knows what's at stake here. I think he wants to compete for championships in the worst way. I think that is his singular focus and priority. And I don't think it's any mistake that he said the things that he said over the last 2 weeks. In fact, Colin, if you go back and you look over the last 4 or 5 months, he's been saying this stuff for a while.
Yes.
He's been going to bat for Jamar Chase. He's been going to bat for Trey Hendrickson. He's been going to bat for T. Higgins to try to keep those guys together. And I just think Joe knows the score here. Joe knows what it's going to take to compete for a championship in the AFC when you've got the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens that you're competing against for the foreseeable future. You need players and you need talent, and it takes more than just a quarterback. And I think Joe is, for my money, if there's a quarterback you take over the next 10 years, I think it's those 2. It's Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And the Bengals have a precious commodity on their hands. They need to listen to their quarterback here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Bengals. Every clip that I hear from the Bengals always kind of drives me crazy because it just always reinforces to me how special and how great a Joe Burrow is, and how rare a quarterback like Joe Burrow is. And this is the problem that we kind of find ourselves in when it's, all or nothing with rings and championships or even playoff, because people try to clown Joe Burrow. They try to blame Joe Burrow for not making the playoffs. They're like, oh yeah, he didn't play good week 1. And it's like, okay, right. Okay, sure. And it's just like, they think that if you're really that great and that special, you should always be able to find a way. When you really look at the team and realize that he's been so unsupported. Like, oh yeah, well, he's had great weapons. And it's like, yeah, and nothing else. And nothing else. You can take away some weapons from a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, etc. When you have a really, really special defense, when you have a top defense in the NFL, right? You can take away a big-time wide receiver when you have an awesome O-line and a great run game or something, there's different ways of doing these things, but it's just like they constantly want to give Joe Burrow the bare minimum. And let's face it, like having someone like a Jamar Chase, okay, yeah, they drafted him. Like they didn't make like aggressive moves to get out there and get him. Right? Like it was just like common sense to draft Jamar Chase, just like it was common sense for the Cleveland Browns to go out and get LeBron James. It's just common sense. So it's not like even that some of the pieces that Joe Burrow has right now are because of just like great, ruthless, aggressive GM moves. Like that's not really the case here. And they're always letting guys leave. And that's why Joe Burrow came out recently was like, the Eagles keep paying everyone. The Eagles keep finding a way. And it's like, yeah, because the Eagles are a really high-run franchise. Not to mention, players also want to play in Philadelphia. And I made a whole video before about that. And that's something that the Cincinnati Bengals lack. And that is actually arguably like the biggest tragedy that the Bengals face. You have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. People should be lining up to want to play for him. Players and teams and players should be willing to be like, I'll take a little bit less because like I'm gonna be with Joe Burrow, man. We're gonna feast, we're gonna eat, we're gonna be competing for Super Bowls, we're gonna be going toe to toe with the Chiefs. Let's go. But like if like what free agent is gonna be like, that's right, I'm going to Cincinnati. My career's about to change now. And it's like, yeah, it might change like for the negative. I mean, like, it's kind of crazy. Like, you should have big-time free agents want to be like, I want to go to Cincinnati. I want to do what they're doing in Cincinnati, man. They're building something special. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, my goodness. That defense is fierce. Saquon Barkley should be looking at a team like the Cincinnati Bengals and be like, man, I'm the difference. Man, if I get to Cincinnati, who's going to stop us? Derrick Henry's like, man, who's going to stop us? Myles Garrett, who's going to stop us? Hollywood Brown, like any of these types of free agents should be like, dude, Cincinnati's at the top of my list. But it's not. It's not even close. They're like, one, I don't know if they're even going to pay me. Two, even if I go there, like all I hear is negative things about how that team is run, the amenities that the team itself offers. The cafeteria is trashy. But, like you're just kind of like, what am I doing here? The city itself only can offer so much. So the team needs to be, a safe haven, and it's not. And there's no trust that, like, yeah, we got Joe Burrow, that's amazing, but, like, I don't know if they're going to be able to build anything else beyond that. And that's an absolute tragedy when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. And this is what I said before about both Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Now, again, it doesn't mean that this would actually be the official reality, when it's all said and done. But you're looking at three quarterbacks, and especially, obviously, since we're talking about Joe Burrow, that if the teams were just run better, and these quarterbacks were supported more, whether it be from coaching, whether it be from players, etc., these quarterbacks, Joe Burrow especially, they would be the ones they would be having Patrick Mahomes' career. They would be the ones who are talking about, is this the GOAT? Joe Burrow already has 2 rings. How many more can he get? Yeah, he's got less rings than Tom Brady, but is he better than Tom Brady? Like, those are the conversations. And the reality is that we're not even close. We're not even close to having those conversations. And the fact that we're not having that conversation about Joe Burrow just shows you how bad the decision making has been around this team. Because, yeah, we're all very confident saying, oh, Joe Burrow's top quarterback. And everyone says Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, and again, in no specific order, but it's always those 4 quarterbacks. And the fact of the matter is like, coming up pretty short. I mean, missing the playoffs is like indefensible. It really is. And I know Joe Burrow dealt with some injuries here and there, so that obviously also kind of plays a factor. But it's just like, I don't know, man. And the fact that you now have your quarterback having to like advocate for what he wants to like the media, podcasts, wherever. Oh my gosh. It doesn't make sense. And again, look no further than the team that just won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was never like, I want to get another wide receiver. He was never like, we need a better running back. We need to boost our defense. It's just, I don't know, man. The Cincinnati Bengals, like I said, when you actually really think about how special of a quarterback Joe Burrow is, and you realize how far away he is from the conversation of an all-time great, Like Eli Manning is closer to that conversation. And that's a disgrace. I mean, that's a disgrace. And it's just like, he is brilliant. He is special. He does care about winning more than anything. He is that dude. Jalen Hurts has now been to 2 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has been to like 19 already. I mean, like, it's just, you can't help but, like, look at another team or look at another quarterback and be like, that should be the life that I'm living. And Joe Burrow could, with just better decisions. And the tragedy part is it's not the decisions on himself. You could blame like an Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, man, you could have achieved more, but some of this is on you. Yeah, the defenses weren't great for many years for Green Bay, but like, you also made poor decisions. That was on you. And you can't necessarily say that for Joe Burrow. And that's why it all falls on Cincinnati Bengals to figure something out. And because he's now also saying, we all want to stay together, right? Because if you move on some more pieces, then he's just going to be like, well, like, what am I doing here? You really just want to give me nothing. If I had confidence that you were going to be able to let go of T. Higgins and then turn this defense into like a top 5, top 10 defense, then yeah, you'd be more open to that. But the Bengals haven't shown the ability to do that. And then again, look no further than the Eagles. They went out and got Saquon. They went out and boosted their O-line. They went out and then boosted their defense. And immediately it was a bottom defense that in one season turned it around to the number 1 defense in the NFL that then dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, if you had confidence that the Bengals can do that, sure. You can break this pseudo band together. The Bengals have not established their ability to do that. So from Joe Burrow's viewpoint, it's just be like, dude, you can't give me less. If we already didn't make the playoffs. If we're not going to get better in the offseason, then don't expect a better season. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Cincinnati Bengals? I love how this question says, is Cincy doing enough to support Joe Burrow? Like, if anyone could say yes, I don't even know what to tell you, but let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.